This past Tuesday, pharma CEOs testified on the Hill at the Senate drug price hearing, and the impact on the customer purchasing those prescription drugs was at the forefront of the discussion. Take a listen.
The one person that's not benefiting from the rebates, not benefiting from the cost negotiation is the customer. And we're here for the customer today. We represent them.
Joining us is HealthPrize Technology CEO Tom Kottler. And Tom, the high drug prices are an issue. Is there a legitimate excuse from the pharmaceutical companies as to why prices have escalated as much? The example that's often used is insulin. In 2007, $250 a dose, and now it's up to, what is it, $1,500?
Yeah, I mean, it's their business model, always has been. They have a government-granted monopoly for what they bring to the market. And as a result, they've raised prices. It used to be twice a year, January and July, every single year. It's the lifeblood of the industry. Is there an excuse for it? I guess you'd have to say, yeah, it's how they live, and that's how they would argue, and some did in front of Congress.
But they say they need the price increases for R&D, but as was pointed out at this hearing, they're spending more on marketing than they are on research and development.
I can't argue with you. I mean, they also don't focus really on the patient. At the end of the day, pharmaceutical companies' biggest problem is patients who don't take prescribed medication. This is an issue called medication non-adherence, and according to Capgemini, with a report we did with them, pharmaceutical companies lose $637 billion a year, annually, globally, and $250 billion in the U.S. alone from patients who don't take prescribed medication. And pharma does very little about it. It's the world's biggest last mile problem in commerce. There's no other industry, if they lost that much money in their last mile,
low-hanging fruit,
and that's because
go after with everything they had.
People are not ordering to restock because they haven't taken the amount they were supposed to take.
Patients don't stay on therapy. They go off therapy at alarming rates. I'll give you statistic after statistic that would boggle your mind. I'll give you two quick ones. The number one reason transplant patients reject their transplanted organs, not taking their immunosuppressants. 31% of patients discharged from the hospital after having a heart attack. Right? As I said, they've seen the white light at the end of the tunnel. 31% of them never fill their script for their CV medication.
Well, and this is, I should mention, where your company comes in. You try to develop technologies to improve that. But before we get to that, I do want to ask you, as you're talking about that issue, it seems to me like the issue of drug pricing is not just a pharmaceutical company issue. And it's not even really just a drug pricing issue. It's a holistic healthcare system issue, that our healthcare system is broken in a lot of different ways. And to just focus on these little parts of it doesn't really get at the heart of the issue.
No, it does not. The heart of the issue is 50 years ago, we decided to have a healthcare system like the one we have, and it was broken from the beginning. And whether you politically like it or not, one of the reasons, for example, that England has much lower drug prices than we do is because they have a government that has socialized medicine that has a single negotiator for drug prices. And they have a thing called NICE, which essentially determines whether a drug is worth paying for or not. Here, it's so disaggregated. Pharma's negotiating with God knows how many different players on rebates and everything else. And the people at the end of the day who take the brunt of it are actually patients. So yes, the system is absolutely broken. This is just one piece of it, no question.
Dan, you keep
well,
nodding
when we
your
talk
head.
about this business, I hope I'm not taking you too far afield here, but I feel like Amazon is the specter looming over this business right now. I mean, in terms of Amazon acquiring PillPack, and then pick which Amazon venture you want to talk about, because then you've got for now it's only those companies, but Bezos, Buffett, and who's the other one? Diamond. Involved in this healthcare venture. So just tell me a little bit about that. Are you guys watching what Amazon's doing? How much might that actually shake up this business in the next 5-10 years?
Hugely. I mean, everyone's afraid of Amazon, the pharmacies, PBMs. I mean, the problem with the healthcare system is it doesn't get the consumer. Amazon does. And Amazon has the capacity, the skill sets, the experience to start delivering to the consumer in ways that no one in healthcare does. So I think they're all nervous about them. And frankly, they get big enough, they'll start negotiating with pharma. And I think that's where they're headed.
Your business, though, how do you work through all of this? With whom? On behalf of the consumer, on behalf of the pharmaceutical company that might want to help the consumer?
Both. So we provide a software as a service platform and create branded experiences for patients to educate them and reward them for staying on therapy. We presently work with pharmaceutical companies who provide the platform free to patients. We're starting to work now with the population health management companies and plans as well, and are starting to study whether in clinical trials the ability of our platform not just to sell more product, but to get better outcomes and reduce total cost of care.
All right, and very quickly again, that figure for the pharmaceutical companies that, because people aren't taking their medications, was how much,
$637 billion a year globally, $250 billion in the US alone, and that was a number we did 2 years ago. We think now it's probably closer to $700 billion.
There's an opportunity. All right, HealthPrize Technology CEO Tom Kottler, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.